It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
If you drive a car, truck, SUV, or vehicle of any kind, you need Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. That's right. With the free Get Upside gas app, you can get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas. Nearly 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas.
I always use Get Upside. Some months I make $200 to $300.
I love getting money back for things I use every day. It's just free money for buying gas.
There's no catch. It's simple. And you get your cash back right away.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents per gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code SALE for a 25 cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Earn cash back on gas on every fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code SALE for a 25 cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SALE.
Welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Scott Cullen. You can see my written work on The Athletic and at McKean's Hockey. And you can listen to me here on the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And today we will continue with our off-season reports. We're on to the New York Rangers. And the Rangers are an interesting team, a team that's kind of been building for a while. And now it's about time to contend. And so start things off looking at the Rangers forwards. First line left winger, we've got Artemi Panarin in 2 seasons with the Blue Shirts. Panarin has 153 points in 111 games. His 1.38 points per game in those 2 seasons ranks 3rd in the NHL behind Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That's pretty good company. And Panarin was known as a productive scorer in his years in Chicago and Columbus, but it appears he's taken another step towards stardom. All it really needs now is for the Rangers to have the team results to go along with it. At center, Ryan Strome, a 28-year-old who has thrived as Panarin's center in the past 2 seasons. Really, these are the best 2 seasons of Strome's career, and he's come up with 108 points in 126 games. Now, both Panarin and Strome were more effective in 2019-2020 than they were last season, but really no complaints. They were still very productive in 2021. Then, potentially on the right wing of the top line, is Kaapo Kakko, the second pick of the 2019 draft. Kakko has just 40 points in 117 career games. Now, his underlying numbers were dramatically better last season, and it maybe kind of got overlooked because he finished with 17 points in 48 games. And, given how terrible his rookie season was, it would be easy enough to just kind of write off Kaapo Kakko. But if the positive underlying numbers and puck possession numbers from his second season are kind of a building point for Kakko, and he ends up skating with Panarin and Strome, he could be ready for a breakthrough season in his 3rd NHL campaign. Now to the second line, we've got Chris Kreider, veteran Rangers winger, a 6-time 20-goal scorer, has the size to play a physical game, has great speed to use on the forecheck as well. Lots to like about having Chris Kreider, and he's not a guy who the team has to worry about a whole lot. It's not like, Kreider needs power play minutes, or if he gets them, he gets them. But he's somebody who can control a game at 5-on-5. At center, we've got Mika Zibanejad, who had a career year in 2019-2020, 41 goals, 75 points. Then got off to a pretty slow start last season, but a couple of 6-point games against the Flyers got him back on track. Ended the season with 50 points in 56 games, so it's hard to talk about how disappointing the year was. But now Zibanejad is headed into the final year of his contract, and if the Rangers maybe decide they want to get in on Jack Eichel, that kind of, I guess, hangs over a lot of things heading into this season, well, then maybe Zibanejad is the one who has to move out. Probably not to Buffalo, but they could move him for assets that in turn get flipped for Eichel. Then on the right side, it's kind of a question mark here, but I guess Vitaly Kravtsov has a chance. Their 9th pick in the 2018 draft. Kravtsov did have 16 goals in 49 KHL games last season, then added 4 points in 20 games for the Rangers. Lots of potential. And if he ends up playing in that spot with Kreider and Zibanejad, could be a really good chance for Kravtsov to kind of start his career on a good note. And really, he probably does get a look there, because when you look at the other talent with the Rangers, there's question marks here. And to the third line, where right now we've got Alexis Lafreniere, and maybe Lafreniere is somebody who has a shot at playing in the second line if Kravtsov doesn't. But the top pick in the 2020 draft, Lafreniere's rookie season was pretty underwhelming. He had 21 points in 56 games. Underlying numbers were terrible. He appeared to be a step slow, but that can probably be overcome. There are all kinds of guys who have arrived in the National Hockey League and haven't been great skaters, but with hard work and kind of experience, you can make it happen, even if you're not the fastest skater in the league. And so it'll be interesting to see how Lafreniere develops in his second season. I mean, if he comes back and skating's not an issue, well, then you're probably going to see some big production, and you probably see him playing in the top six. But I guess there's, maybe be cautious about your expectations on Lafreniere going into this season. At center here, we've got Philip Hedl, solid two-way player, and he's a 22-year-old who seems like he should fit as the third-line center, though if he's going to be a third-line center, he probably needs to start winning some faceoffs. Last season, he won 42.8% of the draws, and that was his best season so far. At the same time, if the Rangers do make a trade, I'll keep throwing the name out, Jack Eichel, apparently. But if that is the case, well, Hedl is probably a prime candidate to be included in that kind of deal. As a young player who's responsible, you can fit him in a lot of spots. So you could easily see Hedl moving. But if the Rangers stand pat, they're all right with Philip Hedl as their third line center. Then on the right side, we got Barclay Goodrow, and Goodrow was a solid contributor to back-to-back cup winners in Tampa Bay, and yet he's wildly overpaid. The Rangers committing 6 years, $21.85 million to Goodrow, and good for him. This is not begrudging Barclay Goodrow in the least. You managed to hit free agency at just the right time after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups at a time when your line was a big contributor to those Stanley Cups. Well, then cash in, and so the Rangers are paying him to provide some grit and some reliable defensive play. But really, that's a big financial commitment for some grit and sound defensive play. So to the fourth line, where we've got Sammy Blais, who was acquired in the Pavel Buchnevich trade with St. Louis. Blais is an agitator, throws quite a few borderline hits, and some that are over the borderline and get him suspended, and can very easily see Blais stirring the pot on the Rangers' fourth line next season. At center, we got Kevin Rooney, who's serviceable fourth line center, has solid defensive metrics, and works hard. Will probably get to wreak some havoc with Blais and right winger Ryan Reeves. Reeves is the heavyweight champion in a league that really has few heavyweights patrolling the ice anymore. His game was not great last season, but previously Reeves had been a solid enough fourth liner. Not getting outshot terribly, not getting outscored terribly, and his game is limited. But in general, when he was in Vegas, Reeves' fourth line kind of kept the puck moving the right way, and so you can see a role for him here with the Rangers. That if he plays 8 minutes a night or 9 minutes a night as the fourth liner who can go and crash and bang for a bit, and then every once in a while you turn him loose when Tom Wilson's in town, then that's probably what you're looking at with Ryan Reeves. Some forwards who are on the bubble here of the lineup. We got Julien Gauthier, big right winger who's never going to live up to his draft status, I don't think, but has a chance. I mean, with all these young forwards you've got here for the Rangers, it's entirely possible that Gauthier ends up sneaking into some decent minutes as well. And then there's left winger Dryden Hunt, who had been playing in Arizona. Good physical blue-collar winger. And sure, the Rangers may have overdosed on physical blue-collar players this offseason, but Dryden Hunt is going to battle to be in the mix for the Blue Shirts. So when we come back, we will look at the defense and goaltending for the Rangers. These are areas that maybe have been of some concern, and probably not so much anymore. We're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. New updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests. BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. So check out betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream. And it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. So let's check things out on the New York Rangers blue line. We'll start on the right side of the top pair is Adam Fox. Won the Norris Trophy in his second NHL season. His ice time and point production spiked last year after a strong rookie year in 2019-2020. And now the 23-year-old is a fixture on the Rangers blue line, and an extremely important part of this team moving forward. If the Rangers are going to have high hopes for what they can accomplish, a lot of it will have to do with Adam Fox being their star defenseman, probably in the mix for Norris trophies for quite a while now, because once you've won one, the voters will pay attention, and so Adam Fox really took a huge step forward and is one reason for the Rangers to be optimistic. On the left side of the top pair might be Ryan Lindgren, an emerging defensive presence on the Rangers blue line, adds a little bite and doesn't he doesn't get out of position too much. Just kind of plays a steady game, which is nice for a young defenseman. And if you pair Lindgren with Fox, you can. Lindgren does get the benefits of having a great defensive partner, but he also adds some stability as a partner for Fox as well. The second pair, we've got K'Andre Miller, 2018 first-round pick, 6'5", can skate, and showed some promise as a rookie. Should be a big part of the core in New York as we kind of move to a point where the Rangers expect to contend. They'll want K'Andre Miller to kind of develop into a shutdown role if possible, because a 6'5" defenseman who can skate be pretty nice if you get to match that up against other teams' top players. And then on the right side, we got Jacob Trouba, who has not been the star that he was expected to be since coming over in the trade with Winnipeg. But Trouba's second season in Manhattan was much better than his first. Not offensively, he only had 12 points in 38 games, but solid defensive metrics, and the Rangers need that. And if Miller and Trouba end up becoming a really solid shutdown pairing, that'll work just fine. On the third pair, we've got Patrick Nemeth on the left side, a steady, no-frills defenseman who should be a good fit for the Rangers. He's a third pair guy who can kill penalties and should be reliable for his partner. And that partner should be Nils Lundqvist. 2018 first-round pick. Lundqvist had 32 points in 52 games for Luleå in the Swedish Hockey League last year. Looks like he's a promising puck-moving right-shot defenseman. What's not to like? Really, Lundqvist has more upside than the others who are kind of competing for spots on the Rangers blue line. There's Jared Tenorti, who give Tenorti credit. It looked like his career had kind of died on the vine, but he's kind of rebounded and found his way between Nashville and Boston and now to the Rangers, where he at least has some viability as an NHL defenseman. And part of the appeal here, I'm sure, is that Tenorti is big and is willing to scrap from time to time, and that that was apparently a big calling card for the Rangers this offseason. Then there's Anthony Bitetto, who is between Winnipeg and the Rangers, spent a lot of time as the 7th and 8th defenseman, and maybe he's kind of in that range again this year. And then there's Libor Hayek, who the Rangers acquired from Tampa Bay back in the Ryan McDonough, JT Miller deal, and Hayek, his experience so far in the National Hockey League has not been great, getting outshot and outscored pretty handily. And so you can see how at this point he's just been surpassed by a lot of other Rangers prospects on the blue line. And so it would not surprise me if the Rangers at some point try to move Hayek, just let another team take a shot with him and see if they can make it work. But the early returns on his career with the Rangers have not been great. So to the goaltending. And Look, goaltending, obviously Henrik Lundqvist had it on lockdown for a long time with the Rangers. And so the transition from Lundqvist to Igor Shesterkin has not been, that bad. Shesterkin came in 2019, 2020, played a dozen games and was incredible in that time. And so looked like he would be a world beater. And then last season, maybe he wasn't quite that. He was well above average. And I think if that's sort of the starting point for Shesterkin as a starting goaltender in the league, that's fine, and he can build on that. And if the team in front of him gets better, his numbers will get better. I think there's lots of reason to be optimistic with Shesterkin, given his early play with the Rangers. Now, in the backup spot right now is Alexander Georgiev, who has played 96 games for the Rangers and has a .912 save percentage, which isn't bad. And it's kind of not surprising if Georgiev wants to get moved out to try his luck somewhere else, because he can probably get a starting job. Going to make me bring up the Jack Eichel trade possibility again? Because they don't really have a goaltending option right now with the Sabres. So Georgiev is a possibility there. But really, if the Rangers go into the season with a tandem of Shesterkin and Georgiev, they're pretty solid in net, and you'll hope that Shesterkin will kind of develop and become a star, a guy who can compete for Vezina trophies, that kind of goaltender. But if he slumps at all, Georgiev is a pretty nice option to have as the backup. And so when you kind of take a look on the back end as a whole, this is, I guess, as encouraged as I would be about the Rangers on the defensive side of things in a long time. Adam Fox winning the Norris Trophy, I think that might have come a little quicker than expected. He had a really nice rookie season, but kind of partway through last season, he erupted for points, and all of a sudden that put him on the radar. So now you have a bunch of relatively young guys who are the core of this blue line, and between Lindgren and Fox and Keandre Miller, Nils Lundqvist potentially this season. And so if all those guys kind of continue to develop, that's part of the reason that the Rangers are going to have expectations going forward. And so that's, there were some lean years on the blue line with the Rangers. There's no denying that. But I think they're probably turning the corner at this point. So when we come back, we will check out special teams, maybe some remaining needs on this team, and then a look at the prospects before deciding the fate of this year's New York Rangers. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They have a bunch of delicious flavors that includes coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. That's a pretty great variety. There's got to be something for everyone there. Now, my favorite is the salted caramel, but if you haven't tried all those flavors, get a mixed box from Built Bar. They give you 2 of each, sample them, decide which ones you like, and then order more of those, because you have those great flavors covered in 100% chocolate, so they taste great, and they're healthy too. Built Bars are loaded with protein, low in calories, low in sugar, low in carbs. They're good for you. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning? Is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer. You have computers with access to RockAuto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store. At Rock Auto, it's $216. And Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you can need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today. Find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com. All right, let's look at the special teams for the New York Rangers. And in the past 3 seasons during 5-on-4 play, the Rangers are 12th in shots per 60 minutes, 52.5. They are 7th in expected goals per 60, 6.83, and 9th in actual goals per 60, 7.73. So in general, that's an above average power play. And, given the talent that they have there, I don't expect that to change. They should be able to score with the man advantage and just kind of continue on with where they've been the past few years. Now the penalty kill, there's another, there's the other side of the coin. 4-on-5 play over the past 3 years. Rangers are 26th in shot attempts against, 99.6, 25th in shots against, 56.1, 30th in expected goals against, 7.36, and 26th in goals against is 7.42. Well, I guess we know where the problem is with the New York Rangers. That is a glaring issue. And they can hope that some of their offseason additions will help in that respect. If Barclay Goodrow can kill some penalties for you, if Patrick Nemeth can kill some penalties for you, if some of the young guys can develop as penalty killing factors, well then, maybe you start to creep out of this bottom 5 or 6 range, which is where the Rangers penalty kill has been hovering here for the last 3 years. And if you have designs on being a contending team, you probably have to clean that up. So when it comes to remaining needs for these Rangers, look, they're a promising team, and they're probably justified in having high expectations this season. At the same time, they may have gone a little overboard in their quest to add grit. So now that they've really addressed the grit issue in the offseason, they actually might need a little more skill up front. And this isn't to diminish the talent, the young talent that they have. I mean, Kaapo Kakko and Vitaly Kravtsov and Alexei Lafreniere could all be great, but it's also possible that there will be some misses in there, right? And if those guys aren't producing, you probably wouldn't mind having another player who can score. And so I just, if the Rangers had not gone kind of so overboard on getting toughness in the offseason, you would have expected, they probably still have plenty of talent up front. Like Pavel Buchnevich, the cost notwithstanding, certainly losing his skill does become an issue. You can't just ship out guys like that and expect it to go unnoticed. And so, I think the Rangers have a strong roster as is, but if they've got their eyes open for a deal for another skilled forward, I would not be shocked. So let's take a look at the prospects for the Rangers, and about 4 guys who I think have a chance to play for them this year in some fashion. And I guess the top one is Vitaly Kravtsov, who had 16 goals, 8 assists in 49 games for Traktor Chelyabinsk in the KHL last season. Now, when he came over to the Rangers, as many teams tend to do with their young players, they don't necessarily put them in a great position to succeed. And so Kravtsov managed just 4 points in 20 games for the Rangers down the stretch. And so in some ways that might have some long-term benefits, and that it should keep Kravtsov relatively humble coming into this season. But if you can kind of unlock the talent that he has, which he certainly appeared to in the KHL last year. If the Rangers could do that and he could give them some secondary scoring right away, that would be rather helpful. There's defenseman Nils Lundqvist, who does look like he's. There are other guys battling for spots in the top 6 on the Rangers blue line, but it appears that they should be chasing Lundqvist. In 52 games for Luleå, he had 14 goals, 18 assists last season, so he's kind of offensively oriented. But if he's a right shot defenseman who can move the puck, and you can kind of ease him in on the third pair, and then to see about moving him up if need be, that should be just fine. Left winger Morgan Barron's an interesting prospect. Big kid who played at Cornell and then made the jump to the American Hockey League last year, where he had 21 points in 21 games, and got himself into a handful of games with the Rangers and scored a goal. So I don't think Barron has this kind of big hype machine behind him, but he's the kind of player who if he can build on what he did in the American Hockey League last year, you could very easily see him back with the Rangers this year. And then on defense, Zach Jones. Now, as I've mentioned, it does look kind of crowded on that Rangers blue line with a bunch of people battling for third pair spots. But Jones, and Jones is probably different than, he's a smaller puck moving type. But he had 24 points in 29 games at UMass last year before getting into 10 games with the Rangers, had 4 assists then. And so this is just kind of, it's refreshing, I suppose, when you're a team that's been rebuilding, and there are some times you go through some lean years, and then you kind of hit this point where the Rangers are, and you've got what looks like a solid blue line, but you've also got some prospects who look reasonably promising that aren't necessarily being force-fed into the action. If Zach Jones gets a chance to play with the Rangers this year, it'll probably be because he's shown that he can handle pro hockey and is sort of worthy of the opportunity, as opposed to the desperation that some teams would tend to have, and you take this kid out of college and you just throw him to the wolves, and let him sink or swim in the National Hockey League. And so, this is one of the reasons that you should be optimistic, I think, about the Rangers, is that they have built up their prospect pool for a while now, and then got rid of the front office that did a lot of it. But let's we're staying optimistic. They've got a lot of young talent, and if it all pulls together, the Rangers could be really great this year. Their expectations are going to be high, and the expectation is they should be a playoff team, and they might be. They've got stars like Artemi Panarin, Adam Fox, and really good young players, guys that you can build around, and that could be kind of part of the core here for years to come. Gerard Gallant behind the bench. And that there's a coach who's had some success, and I've had my differences of opinion in how Gerard Gallant handles analytics and the way I would handle analytics, but big deal. He can he's shown that he can get results on an NHL bench. And so if you're the Rangers, it's about time to see some of those results. And having said all that, it's not going to be easy. That division is not for the weak of heart. And so if the Rangers are going to take that step forward, they're going to have to kind of go clawing past some teams that probably expect to be playoff teams as well. And so, that's the Rangers are one of the more interesting teams, I think, coming into this year, because of all this young talent, and it's easy to be optimistic with young talent and hope that all these guys reach their potential, but that also provides lots of room for variance. The range of outcomes for what could happen with Alexis Lafreniere this year is probably greater than what it is for some guy in his 10th year in the league. If Lafreniere comes in and lives up to what he was expected to be as the first overall pick, well, then the Rangers are off to the races. But if he's still kind of struggling to generate offense and doesn't appear quick enough, well, then it's a different story. And so they're given the Rangers have this wealth of young talent, I understand the optimism, and so I in general I share that optimism. But there's that part of me that kind of is yes, be optimistic, but be wary. They haven't reached the status of being a great team just yet. And so there we go with the New York Rangers. Next up will be the New York Islanders, and on the next Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. Also check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast. We'll have two-start pitchers and streamers coming for next week as the season is winding down. And check both podcasts out on Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Stay locked in with Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily source for fantasy news and analysis. Betting on the National Hockey League doesn't have to be a guessing game if you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast, hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast, brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get podcasts.
Let me know if this sounds familiar. You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors, parents, best friends' login information for all the other stuff that you want to catch. It's just a pain. It's a hassle. It's too many remotes, too many devices. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without that hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV all together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and on-demand favorites like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no more need to buy another device ever again, and the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.